yeah, this is well, I meant to do that just to make sure you guys knew what you're talking about and to
Thank you.
get you in the flow, so you'd yeah, but whatever. I screwed that up. But now we're recording, so now we're really on. Hi, this is John Mark Walker with Red Hat. I'm the Open Source Ecosystems Manager for the Open Source and Standards team at Red Hat. And I am talking here today with Chris Hample and Chris Kacerguis from Booz Allen Hamilton. And we're here together on the ManageIQ podcast, talking about Project Jellyfish and why it exists and what it does and all that good stuff. Chris, how are you? Let's dive right in. What is Jellyfish? And first of all, why is it called Jellyfish? What's with the name? What's up with that?
Yeah, no, I wish I had a really great story of how it was created. I think we decided to go with Project Jellyfish for a couple of reasons. One was really we wanted to be something different. Booz Allen, we're known for our 4-letter acronym names, and we want something that stood out a little more. It's an open source project. It's being done by people in Austin, Texas. It's very different, for Booz Allen. So just one thing, just to capture that difference. Two, jellyfish.
Are there lots of jellyfish in Austin? I didn't know there were jellyfish in Austin, but
yeah, not exactly. Yeah, it's not too far away from the coast here, but Jerry Cottrell, who you've had on the podcast before, he came up with this name, and I think it really fits well. I mean, jellyfish have been around forever. They're before the dinosaur time period, apparently, and they have the tentacles that connect to all the different clouds, and we're all about connecting services to users. They scale up and scale down. So, full-grown jellyfish will actually shrink under times of stress or expand. It'll split and multiply. So, it's very cloud-like, in my mind. So, and it has a nice ring to it. So, it's a little different. Yeah.
Very nice. So what I'm getting here is that just the mere fact that it's not some obscure reference in an acronym makes it very subversive there in the Booz Allen offices.
Yeah, absolutely. It took a little convincing at first, but I think everybody loves it now.
How did that conversation go? I mean, you guys basically started putting the stamp on everything, and then they couldn't do anything about it. I mean, is that basically what happened?
It's one of those things I think you just talk about enough, and you just say, let's just call it this for now, and then eventually everybody accepts it, and then you have stickers. So
very sneaky of you, very sneaky. Exactly. Well done. The best way to defeat corporate inertia is to integrate your own corporate inertia. And
exactly. Yes. Now I've just made that public, so who knows? Yeah.
We can always rip that out if you want, but don't want to get anyone in trouble. So now we know why it's called Jellyfish. Why does it exist? What problem are you trying to solve here? What's the purpose of this software?
Yeah. So we had a number of customers that we worked with where they have a multi-cloud environment, they have a hybrid environment, and so we're using ManageIQ. We do this kind of administrative management for that and the networking management, but they always had the need also to. I want to order services, and I want to provide a front end that's focused on users coming in, my users coming in to order different types of services, infrastructure, platforms, software as a service. And even we've got to expand beyond that. I was at a conference and people were saying, well, can I put training videos on there to just some catalog, a way to order these services and then offer those services in a very kind of project methodology, so I can have projects with an approval workflow that then people can order against this budget. And when that, then I have quota systems that interact with ManageIQ to enforce those budgets and the quotas. And I can, from a broker standpoint, the big thing we always talk about is, from a broker, I want to be able to, in my hybrid environment, display information so our users can make decisions and give them the information so they can make decisions on where to provision things, based on their projects, based on that type of order. So is it an order that's, going to be in a high security environment? Well, we don't want to give them some options. You can't provision AWS, let's say in that case. So
Okay.
we saw, these users have this kind of use case, and we figured, okay, we need to just add on this kind of layer on top of ManageIQ to do that.
So it sounds like the functionality, the core functionality is enabled by ManageIQ, but you're putting a
Yep.
bit of a different interface. And what is the reason for that? I mean, what are you really angling for there? You're aiming for a specific type of user, someone
Yeah.
that wouldn't really know what to do with ManageIQ, maybe give them a bit of direction.
Yeah, so in ManageIQ, we've always direct, say, the admins. So I'm the sysadmin. You're going to ManageIQ for this. You're going to
Right.
administer everything in ManageIQ. But if I'm a person just coming in who's, say, a project manager, and I want to order services, I don't need to, one, see everything in ManageIQ, all that information. I just
Right.
need to see a catalog that I can have a budget and I can order different services against.
Right.
It's kind of it's just a different user persona in essence to get to a different use case for them than my traditional ManageIQ user would be, which we've directed
Okay.
more as for administrator type view. So
Sure.
much more the focus of the type of user for that.
So you create this little shopping cart model, and I like how you've done it so that if somebody orders through the shopping cart model, you get to see how much you're costing, I guess, your department
Yep.
compared to how much has been allocated. So you always know how much you're utilizing that you're allowed to use, and whether or not you've exceeded your limit. And I guess there can be hard limits placed on the back end, so that if you do exceed, then it prevents you from doing stuff, or just tells you, you're out of bounds.
Yeah. We put that on the front end too. So you can't order services if it exceeds the quota. So you've got $1 budget to spend. So it's basically enforcing that. Is one of the models. You can have multiple different models for how to enforce quotas, but the general one is you got a budget, you can't order beyond that budget.
Right.
So,
but how do you create a budget for, say, like an internal, VMware cluster versus an AWS? I mean, AWS is very, there's a price tag on everything, and exactly how much it's going to cost. It's metered. Whereas, an internal and on-premises, virtualization platform, it's not going to have the same kind of hard costs. How do you factor all that stuff in together?
Yeah, so we're typically work with the organization to look at their models to help set up some costing. If you're just pulling off the community version, of Jellyfish down, you're obviously going to have to come up with yourself, but we definitely work with people. But there has to be some costing basis for that. Or you switch. Another model you could use is kind of more of a resource model. But again, as you alluded to, you've got now an AWS environment, and I've got a local environment, a VMware environment. I can't just do a hard, resource limit in AWS. So you kind of have to come up with some sort of costing model, is what we found.
And if you wanted to direct users to one as opposed to the other, you could switch the costing model a bit, and one way is cheaper than I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You could incentivize users to order certain clouds from certain cloud environments.
Okay. So let's say I'm an admin. I want to make this. I want to offer this, service catalog to my users and developers. How would I go about it? What are the steps I would take to actually implement this?
Sure. So Chris Kacerguis is on the call here. He's our lead architect for Project Jellyfish. And Chris, would you explain how that works?
The other Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Yeah.
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
So basically, Project Jellyfish is comprised of two main parts. We have a UX front end, and we have an API backend, which powers both the UX and it powers our upcoming mobile application. So from an installation point of view, on the UX side of things, it's a simple Angular Node application. So from a manual installation standpoint, you would just simply download it from our GitHub, put it on whatever server you wanted to. And of course, it's Node, so you just run Node and point it to the correct API server. The backend is a Ruby on Rails REST-based API. So you can, if you wanted to use the UX, you can use our UX again. If you wanted some custom thing, you certainly can use that. But you would download it, and you would, again, Rails. So Rails, at its simplest form, Rails-S, Rails to run the server. And so that's from a manual perspective. From a more automated perspective, right now we're providing a Chef cookbook. That you can simply download, run it, with Chef, and it will, download and do everything you need to do to either install it on a single server or on a more multi-tiered application.
Now, I noticed that you have like the chef cookbooks for both your stuff as well as the ManageIQ setup. So if you run the chef cookbooks, it will set up everything. I mean, is it really that?
So yeah, from the aspect of Jellyfish, yes, if you run the Chef Jellyfish cookbook, it will set up Jellyfish exactly how you want. Um, if you, because of the way that ManageIQ works, it's got to be on its own system by itself.
Right.
So you would additionally run the Chef ManageIQ cookbook, and that will do everything. It'll download the latest release, and I might put Anand. Did I get that name right?
Yep, that is correct.
Release, and it will download it and set it up on its own server, and really that's it. I mean, we've designed it to be as simple and easy to use as possible to get it up and running. And I think realistically, someone could probably have it up and running in about from at least getting it installed where somebody could log in, probably about 15 to 20 minutes.
That's nice. Now, I know in a previous version you had like some kind of Drupal-based shopping cart thing. It did some kind of JSON data exchange between it and the ManageIQ backend. Is that still the case now, or have you gone to? It sounds like you've gone to a bit of a different front end now.
Well, it's so from the Drupal versus something else we run. It's completely custom. Drupal is a great platform, of course, but we found that because of what we're doing, it's not quite e-commerce. So Drupal was just kind of it was great. What it needed to do, but Drupal is Drupal, and it's a CMS and e-commerce system, and we wanted to really be able to dive in and do exactly what we wanted to do, and so we went kind of our own route and built it out. Also, from that perspective, especially with when you're talking the back end, of course, Drupal is PHP, ManageIQ is Ruby on Rails, and so we really wanted to, use the technologies already used in ManageIQ, right? So
Sure.
presumably,
Right.
if a company's running CloudForms, and running, ManageIQ, they've got hopefully a Rails, people familiar with Rails, and so we really wanted to use the same technology set there.
Right. They've already overcome that Rails barrier, if you will, just by virtue of the fact they're using CloudForms, right? I mean, so they should have no objection.
That was the big selling point to move to Rails.
Right, and that's the yeah. And I remember you guys had every intention of going there, and I'm glad you did. It does coincide a lot more neatly with the technology that's already used for deploying ManageIQ and CloudForms. So it's good to see that. And then what's the response been? I mean, what are you looking to get out of this release, and what kind of feedback have you got so far?
So I'll take part of that here. So far it's been very positive. What we're looking for is really to kind of build the community on the front end. So we've asked, a lot of people to engage. Okay, help. We're developing it in open now, so it's all in GitHub. All of our tasks, all of our issues, all of our roadmap is all public.
Right.
We really before wanted to get it to a stage to release it to this point, and now we're at that. So we're all in GitHub. We're doing all of our tasking. Everyone can see what we're working on there. We've already had a few pull requests for a couple of items, but it's really engagement to kind of refine Jellyfish for right now. Is really the big thing, and that's actually from a roadmap standpoint. That's a lot of what we're working on right now. So we're doing modularization of it to make it easier for people to contribute. To it.
Okay, that's really important. It's difficult to contribute to something that's very monolithic and that you have to wrap your head around every facet of it before you can actually do something. The more you modularize it, the more it helps people to, I guess, focus on one particular part before they add their stuff.
It's sorry.
No worries. So this is you mentioned that the community edition. So I mean, is there a product edition? I mean, what is the scope there for commercial development?
Yes. So right now, it's in a few months. Will be kind of basically a supported version.
Okay.
So when I talked about the modularization, we have the Jellyfish core, which is the front end and the API layers that Chris mentioned. Right. Plus, we have this concept of modules. So then you can throw on additional modules. So you have those with ManageIQ, and then you can have additional modules. Say you're using Chef, Sensu, you want to use Puppet, for config management, using Nagios. Right. You want some other security piece. And all of these can be developed as separate modules that kind of integrate, pull all those pieces together into what we're calling a blueprint. So we're setting up these blueprints, and blueprint is an idea around, say, have a specific use case. So you want to use it for like advanced cloud broker. Okay, you need ManageIQ, Core, let's say Sensu, and Chef, excuse me. Yeah, so you need those pieces. So there's a blueprint that kind of defines that. You pull that down, you can install that blueprint. So that's kind of really where we're going. So with the enterprise version, it's really going to be, the discussion right now is it's kind of a lockdown set of modules. So we've got a stable build plus, some of these modules that have been kind of checked and tested and everything's squared away, and we'll support all of those things. So we'll offer a support version.
Nice.
Those. Yep.
That's great. And then I guess the final question is, how do we, I've been watching this development for a long time. I've been very excited about it. How can we make it more of an integrated experience for the ManageIQ community? Like, how can we make it more available to people who go to ManageIQ.org? Right now, there's maybe one single chef cookbook. If you go to the extensions depot on ManageIQ.org, how do we make it more, I guess, an intrinsic part of the user process?
Yeah. So that's stuff we've been in talk with Red Hat, with you guys for quite a while now too, about how to do that. So really our initial phase, so this release and what we're doing right now was to get us to a point. We have client needs and we needed to kind of get this out quickly. So that's been our focus. With this going on, you'll see much greater integration with ManageIQ. So instead of, you'll see more contributions from us at that point too, to the actual ManageIQ code base, now that we kind of have this base in place. So that integration, I think it's in the works, and it's constant discussions. Like every week we're talking with you guys on how to make that work, So
that's great.
It's moving forward. Yeah.
Onward and upward. And then I'll tell you, we're going to have the next design summit is going to be an online summit in early May. It'd be great to have you guys participate in that and to be a part of that. And then we're going to have a face-to-face event at Red Hat Summit. And I would love to extend you guys an invitation, maybe even a talking session so you can talk about the latest advancements in Jellyfish and talk about your roadmap plans there. But it's great to have you guys be part of the community. And I got to say, you're the most enthusiastic partners we have, and we're very appreciative of all the work that you put in.
We are enthusiastic. How is it? Yeah. So cool. That's great. Yeah. We'd love to participate. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us today too.
But thank you again, and it's really great to talk to you guys, and look forward to seeing more in the future.